So I'm going to kick us off because this is, I think, going to be a really interesting topic, and I bet you there's going to be a lot of questions as well. So good afternoon or morning, depending on where you're from. I'm Cheryl Carrier. I'm the president of Ford Next Generation Learning, and I'm really honored to be here today with you. Many of you know that our team leads the Career Academy section of new and related services at ACTE, and we truly hope you'll consider joining this community of practice. I think you're going to gain a lot from this webinar today. At Ford NGL, we partner with school districts and their communities to create career-themed academies at the high school level, while also building strong career awareness and exploration starting in elementary and middle school as well. What makes this work so powerful is it's really truly community connected. Employers, civic leaders, nonprofit partners, they all come together to support this work and they help design it. In that process, they become co-owners of the vision, creating these real world experiences that bring relevance and opportunity to both teachers and to students. If it resonates with you, we'd love to continue the conversation. So just give us a jingle, let us know that you're interested in talking more. But now I'm gonna introduce what you all came for. You're gonna hear from two Ford NGL communities, Akron Public Schools and Romeo Community Schools, about middle school exploration. This isn't about scaling high school academies down to middle schools, right? It's about designing experiences that are relevant, engaging, and deeply connected to the community. So today you're going to hear a little bit about how partnering with nonprofit and philanthropic organizations to expand the students' awareness of career pathways, and also, a lot of these students are working with these nonprofit organizations, and I always say that this is about building their empathy muscle, right? And then also how to create meaningful and community-connected opportunities that spark curiosity and purpose for young people. So we're delighted to have you here today. Super excited to have Akron and Romeo with us. And with that, I'm going to immediately turn it over to Marcy from Akron, and she's going to lead a conversation with her and her team. So Marcy, it's all yours.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here today. I hope you can hear and see everything. Yeah, we're going to do a little sneak peek. I'm not sure how many people are on the call. I think our intent is hopefully to have some breakout. So we're going to share some information and then maybe do a little deeper dive in our presentation. But I have with me on the call today Dr. Kenny Green. She is my middle school CTE specialist. She's going to share some details in more depth around how we've set up the structure of our middle school curriculum through CTE and staged it out to get students ready for high school. And of course, the incredible Dr. Larry Johnson on the call, who is our Executive Director of School Leadership and is in charge of the leadership and structures of our middle schools in collaboration with all of our school principals to make sure that the things that we're trying to do are following through on and working to the best effect for the students and the community and the teachers and the whole world of learners around them. So that's who's on the call. So we'll kind of be jumping back and forth and sharing updates with you. So go ahead and bring that up. Quickly, in Akron Public Schools, we have our mission and vision. We really work around making sure that we have innovation in our educational experiences, which is the word that always resonates the most with me, is, the things that we do in a large urban district have to have this innovation that approaches and reaches our students. What works for a small suburban community or rural community does not work the same in a large urban. You just can't do it more here. You have to really be able to think about how we're being innovative in bringing those opportunities to our students K through 12. And especially with my heartland of middle school students, it's my educational background, and they often need the most innovation. If you've spent any time with middle schoolers, you know that. And of course, we want our kids ready to graduate as architects of their future. We do these things through four major cornerstones. I'm not going to go into all of that with you. You can see them on the screen. But a lot of our middle school work is trying to make sure we're doing all four of these things are as essential and important to keep the work up and supported as we move students through that bridge from elementary to their high school years. So if you have not been to Akron before, which I think some of you on the call have been, so it's good to see you again. But just a little context about where Akron is. In Ohio, we're in the northeast region of Ohio. We are one of the large 8 urban districts in the state that serve the population of students across the state of Ohio. We have 41 schools and CLCs. We call our schools CLCs. That's a community learning centers, which means that our spaces are open for the whole community to come in and use those spaces for extended day programs, summer, weekend opportunities, events, and such that they might need. We have 4 administration buildings, mainly housed with all of us in one location so that we're able to have some really great collaborative efforts. And we serve almost 20,000 students in our district and 4,300 employees, making us the 5th largest employer in our county. So pretty far reach across the county where we serve the most students in our county schools. So lots happening here in Akron, just some stats to sort of contextualize where we're at and the population of students that we serve. Some big updates that we're sort of excited about. We're 10 years into college and career academies. This coming year will be our 10th year. And the incredible gains that our students have made, and we see them improving year after year after year. We started with high school, college, and career academies, and I'll let Larry sort of give you a high level about what that looks like in Akron Public Schools, because I don't think you can talk about what you're doing in middle school if you're not thinking about what they need to get to in high school. And so we've had some really great results. Our overall report card rating this year was 3.5 stars, which now means we're exceeding state standards for how well our students are performing. And we saw our college and career readiness indicator first year out of the gate at 4 stars. And actually, the percentage put us at the top 15% of all districts in the state. So if you're a large urban on the school, sometimes you're always competing against the large urbans. This time we were really competitive with all the districts in the state and the schools that received this rating. So that was super exciting for us. And then we finally topped our 90% 4-year graduation rate in our district, which was this past year's group of graduates. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Johnson on the call, talk a little bit about our high school and what we're doing in middle school.
So good afternoon. In 2027. In 2017, we went wall to wall. And what you see there are all the options that all of our high schools have and all the pathway options that students can choose from in their high schools. When we went wall to wall, as you'll see, every high school has a freshman academy. And as a sophomore, every student begins to pick their academy. So you see all the high schools there, and you see all of their respective pathways that students can select from in their sophomore year. The goal in freshman academy is to get them prepared to be able to make a good decision for their pathways for their 10th and 11th grade year. And Marcy was absolutely right. One of the things we learned is that as students were in freshman academy, as they were beginning to make a 10-year plan, as they were getting to build some things and prepare for their pathway choices, we thought, is there an opportunity for us to get them even readier, also known as more ready, for 9th grade? And that's how we started, and that's when we started thinking a little bit more about what middle schools were going to look like. So in our middle school pathways, we started that work in 2021. Those of you that are familiar with Ford NGL, you'll know the 3 pillars of the Ford NGL. You'll see those 3 pillars here: learning, school experience, and community engagement. Those anchor our work in middle school. But one of the things that's important for us in middle school is agency. We want our students to be agents of their learning, which means we want them to be partners. And we do this partnership through these 3 pillars in a way that we want them to have applied learning opportunities. It's important that they're collaborators both in school and out of school, and that we have a network of partners. And I think Dr. Green is going to talk about that, a network of partners to help prepare opportunities, unique and authentic opportunities for students to engage with their community, to see some of the opportunities that are in their community, so that when they get to high school, they've had these experiences, are now ready to say, I saw this when I was in the 8th grade. I think I'm really excited to do this. The last thing that I will say is on the back of all of this is a portrait of our graduates. That's going to be the next slide. But I just want to say you're not going to see a middle school portrait because we were pretty intentional about making sure that high school and graduation was what we were chasing, and we didn't want students to get sidetracked in middle school. You're going to see how we rolled in those portraits of our graduate skills in middle school and how we emphasize their readiness as they prepare for high school.
Thank you. Dr. Green?
Hello, everyone. So just like Mr. Johnson said, we have our 2 portrait of a scholar moments here on the screen. We started this with our portrait of a graduate. You know, we got all of our community members together, hammered out what were those skills, those transferable skills that we felt students needed in our community to be successful. And of course, that's what you see here on the screen. Right after that, our elementary educators said, you know what, we need a portrait of an elementary scholar as well. And so they created our portrait of an elementary scholar to, you know, sort of prepare the conversation with students so that when they get to middle school, this is not a foreign concept. When we look at the portrait of a graduate framework, it absolutely is our North Star for grades 6 through 12. It is a secondary moment. We focus on knowledge and application of skills in grades 6 through 8. Like, we're not expecting them to demonstrate them in middle school. We're expecting them to be aware and be able to apply them in given scenarios. It's not until grades 9 through 12 that we're actually looking for that demonstration. And that's the difference that we have here. And it allows us to have this comprehensive moment of really supporting the portrait of a graduate through our language, through our initiatives, through our priorities. The middle school portrait is implemented in 6th grade. We're focusing on those strong habits of mind. You know, how are you thinking about your academics, about your world? 7th grade is the social skills and real world skills. How do you work with others? And then 8th grade, we're looking at, we're talking to them about, you know, contributing to society and making a plan for the future. How do you plan your success?
Thank you. Thank you. So we have, there we go. So if we're going to our breakout or if we stop here, we have more to discuss, but we want to go a little deeper dive really around how we've set up the daytime experiences for what's happening during the day with students in the schools, and touch on, we are always looking at next phase work. You know, so we have a really strong partner engagement, and we're looking where how we're elevating those into our next year's work, but making sure that our daytime instructional practices are really reflecting and making relevance. So we'll talk a little bit more in depth about those in our breakout. So I'm going to stop there. I'll turn it back over to Cheryl. I'm not sure who to turn it back over to, but what you're doing next, or what you want us to do next.
You're going to turn it over to me, Marcy.
Oh, okay.
So,
there we
hello,
go.
everyone.
Thank you, Beth.
I'm Beth Grislack. I'm a community coach and learning design lead for Next Generation Learning. And I want to thank the Akron team for wetting your whistles a little bit. One of the things that's really excited me about having Akron and Romeo with us today is that Akron, as you have seen, is a large multi-high school community, and they've previewed for you, and they'll talk a little bit more in their breakout room about the curriculum aspect and their focus on the academics at that middle school level around career exploration, skill development, academic knowledge development, and so on. The Romeo team, who is going to speak with you in just a minute, they're going to focus more on what do those guaranteed real world experiences look like for their middle school students. So they're between the two communities, you're kind of getting both sides of, because we really want to emphasize in middle school, it's not just academics and it's not just skill development or that real world engagement, but it's really at the middle school level, how are we doing both of those well? So we've got, for those of you in those larger communities, a glimpse at what a large community is doing. And for those of you in one or, you know, 2 or 3 high school towns, we've got an example of what a smaller community is doing. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the folks from the academies at Romeo High School and Romeo Middle School, and let them introduce themselves and share some of their work with you.
All right. I'm not used to Zoom, so I'm going to try to share.
And as Jennifer is doing that, I'll just briefly introduce her. So Jennifer McFarland is the Assistant Superintendent for Romeo Community Schools. And with her, she has Brad Martz, who is the principal at Romeo Middle School, and Jennifer Rasevich, who is the Middle School Academy Coach. That might be a title that's not familiar to some of you, and we'll learn a little bit more about what an Academy Coach does. And I'm not sure if it's in the whole group presentation or in the breakout, but we'll fill you in on that a little bit more as well.
All right, I'm having
looking
difficulty.
Oh, you're looking good. We can see it on the screen.
Can you? Okay, cool. All right. So Beth introduced me a little bit. I am Jennifer McFarland. I'm the assistant superintendent. We are a 1 high school, 1 middle school, and 5 elementary school district. Mr. Martz, you want to pop in real quick, introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Brad Martz, the principal of Romeo Middle School. Been here for a few years here in the building. Merged 2 buildings about 6 years ago into one.
And then we have our academy coach, Jennifer Rasevich. She'll talk a little bit on this slide about what a middle school academy coach actually does that might be different from a high school academy coach.
Yes, hi, I'm Jennifer Rasevich, Jen, and this is my 25th year here at Romeo, all at the middle school, so blessed to be there the whole time, and it's my 2nd year as academy coach. And so as an academy coach in the middle school, we know what high school looks like, so I'm more of a liaison between the nonprofit organizations, the community organizations, and our school. I set up the service learning experiences in and out of school, along with, making sure our students are looking at our profile of middle school scholar, which we'll get to, and also what kinds of careers that there could be in the nonprofit world or outside of the nonprofit world. And I'm also a support for teachers and staff along the way.
So I want to caution the viewers, we're in year 1 of implementation of the academies at Romeo Middle School. So as I said, we are a 1 middle school district. We're in Macomb County, which is in southeastern Michigan, about an hour north of Detroit, Michigan. Mr. Martz kind of led into, we merged 2 smaller middle schools into 1. And so we have about 1,200 6th, 7th, and 8th graders all together. If Marcy, you gotta love middle school to have 1,200 all in one building. So we are middle school people. And we've done a lot of work. They were 2 very different staffs. So we had initially to work on culture and bringing them together and moving forward with this master plan. So we are suburban rural. So we have some farms and apple orchards and things, and we're becoming more suburban as land is sold for development. We were designated by Ford NGL, our middle school, in March of last year. And we've to help with our culture, and we're not going to talk at length, but we use Capturing Kids' Hearts, and the middle school received year 1 the Rising Star, and this year they were a national showcase school. So we're very proud of the work that Mr. Martz and his team have done to earn that honor. So our learning for the day, if you saw off the wall, if you're a middle school person, hopefully you like that humor. But really, we're trying to bring our profile off the wall and make it come to life with our students. So our learning for today for you is hopefully you'll be able to see how we bring those competencies into authentic learning experiences. Jen will talk a lot about how we partner with nonprofits and community organizations, and hopefully you'll see how the opportunities our students are having this year and in the future really spark their curiosity and give them purpose. So, Mr. Martz?
So I'll read this out with you as guys as well. We create small learning communities where each student has an advocate, can explore their interests, and engage with our community and be empowered to make change. This is our Acorn statement that we use for everything at Romeo Middle School as we build our programs. And throughout the next few slides, you'll see how we become advocates, engage community, and empower our students to make changes in our environment and our community around us to make better people.
So as Brad said, this really does anchor our work. When we started the master planning process for the middle school plan, this was our North Star in a sense before we created the profile for middle school. But it really is trying to take that 1,200 school building and shrink it and really invest into our students. So unlike Akron, who made the decision to keep the profile the same for high school, our middle school staff and partners and students really felt that they wanted to have their own profile that fit where they were at in this time of life. So we align with our high school profile. Three of what we call strengths are the same as the high school. But we had a group of community partners, students, staff, and building administrators create the profile of a middle school scholar. And we really are bringing it to life. And our kids are using it. Our teachers are using it in year one. So we're very proud of that. On the right-hand side, you'll see the red circle and the R. Be Romeo is something that in our community, people understand what it means to be Romeo. So again, the team felt that was important. And then in the black circle, you can see accepting, engage, and responsible. That was in place when they merged the two middle schools, and that really is kind of their guide for
Our
values for what the student, staff, and community value within our middle school. So our 5 strengths are perseverance, communication, self-directed, leadership, and collaboration. So these are the skills and the strengths that we're working on. So by the time our 8th graders leave us, as Mr. Martz always likes to say, we help them be a good human.
Correct.
So I believe, Jen, you're going to take and talk about our explore, engage, and empower.
Yes, so our academies are based in grade level. So unlike our high school academies that are based in what job would you like to do or what experiences would you like to have, our 6th grade is explore, our 7th grade engage, and 8th grade empower. And you're going to notice that each of these experiences that we provide for students always go back to our profile, and notice those are the things that they're doing within each of these experiences, along with also making sure our goal is what we really focus on each time we do different experiences for them. So in 6th grade Explore, we explore nonprofit and community-based organizations. We hold a nonprofit exploration fair. So think career fair, where I have about 55 nonprofit and community organizations that set up in our gym, and our 6th graders will walk around with an assignment, because you got to keep them on task, as we know. So they have to introduce themselves with the handshake, and we teach them those skills. And then they ask some questions about the nonprofit and what they do. And then at the end, we do a follow-up, which I'll explain more about our follow-up assignments later, but it always goes back to what did you learn from the nonprofit based on our profile, and how can we then use those profile strengths moving forward. And they also ask about the jobs that are also available. We do team presentations. So after the nonprofit fair, we had the students choose a couple of top nonprofit and community-based organizations that they wanted to learn more about. Of course, one was Leader Dog for the Blind, and the other was MSU Extension 4-H. Those are both really to do with animals, even though Leader Dog is about helping people with blindness and visual impairments. But of course, the dog showed up. So that was a wonderful little perk that the kids were able to see the dog in action. They also did a follow-up assignment after that. They also engage in PBL, which is project-based learning with the partners, and specifically with MSU Extension, and you can see a couple pictures there of the sphero balls of they're programming those sphero balls to be able to hold a certain weight, and then they program them to go down and come back, and it's a competition and all those things. And we do hope to partner more with our nonprofit and community-based organizations in our project-based learning. Another one in 6th grade is in science. It's kind of an easier connection, is MSU Extension talks with our 6th graders about flooding, because one of our 6th grade units is water and where it is and where it goes. And so that real quick connection with the nonprofit just makes it that much more real when we're talking about those real world connections and that curriculum. And then finally, we have a couple new things. One is the zoo. We're going to do a Careers in the Zoo webinar with our local Detroit Zoo. It's a virtual classroom chat, they call it, where all our students, teachers are going to log in, and they're going to hear about live, real-time jobs at the zoo. And because they're going to be visiting the zoo at the end of the school year this year. So we're going to give them a little focus on, when you go to the zoo, these are the things we want you to notice as you're there on your fun field trip. And then actually happening today is one of our nonprofit presentations where we're introducing a little bit of service learning to our 6th graders. So we have Clinton River Watershed Council, which is a local environmental nonprofit, with another nonprofit that's based in service called Travis Manion. They're going to learn about environment, trash. It's perfect for Earth Day today. They're going to learn about that, and then they're going to go outside and they're going to pick up trash around school, and then come back into school and talk about what an impact that made. So that's actually today and the next couple weeks. That's 6th grade. So our 7th grade is Engage. And so in 6th grade, we build these opportunities for our students in school, where everybody's coming here and we're doing things with nonprofit community-based organizations. In 7th grade, we're engaging them by taking them out into the community. And I have to say that this was a surprising connection that we should have made a long time ago. And I'm glad we have it now, because the community organizations like Forgotten Harvest, which is think about it as a mobile food pantry. It's like a drive-through food pantry type situation. Romeo Open Handed is a local clothing closet, and our senior center, which is for our senior citizens in our community. I take students every Wednesday to each of those places, different students each week, so they all will have the opportunity to do this year and help out at those different organizations. And we teach them before they go about what they're doing and why we're doing it. And then after the fact, we do a follow-up assignment about what they did and what they can do, with also looking at those profile strengths. So it's really great to see, and the feedback from the community members is very, very positive. They were all very hesitant at first, but we both agreed that we were going to make it work the best that we could, and it's actually exceeding our expectations. The students are doing, if you ever want to have a little bit of a heart moment, come and join us when we take kids to the Forgotten Harvest. You're going to see such a positive, even the kids who can be a little tough in school shine when they're there. So it's a wonderful opportunity. Stream Leaders is also with Clinton River Watershed Council, and that is our PBL, one of our PBLs with our 7th grade science, where we have water quality. So they go to Wolcott Mill, a local river, and they test the water twice a year, and they use that water quality data to send it right into the Clinton River Watershed Council, and they use that data to check that river. And then they also do in school the curriculum about water quality. So that water quality unit was already there. So what I'm saying is this project-based learning is attainable if you take what the teachers already do and find a community organization that can connect to it. And it's easier to do it that way than trying to make something else up. So that's 7th grade.
Mr. Martz.
So this is my favorite slide so far is the Empower slides. They're eighth graders. So we've done some pretty amazing things with them this year, and this is our first pilot with them. So we were actually able to take a leadership class. We have two classes that run in our building, about 30 students each, and presented them with a problem, empowering them to make a difference in the community. So our first one was senior citizens. How do we engage them back? How do we get them back in our building? So we presented this problem to them, and they came up with such amazing ideas of we're going to teach them how to use their cell phones and teach them how to use technology, um, classroom exercises, and working with them, taking for a legacy project, making sure the legacy stays. And one of the projects you see here in the upper right is our theater production. Our students here produced a play, Aladdin, and they had invited our seniors here and made a VIP section, including popcorn and cotton candy and all those fun things. It was a private showing, a very small rehearsal that our seniors were able to do there. And our students put everything together from contacting transportation to get them here, setting up the cookies, the punch, the snacks, all those things. And probably the biggest movement was having our production students meet the senior citizens, and our senior citizens actually had them autograph their programs. The seniors were impressed. They had no idea our kids were eighth grade kids, seventh grade kids, sixth grade kids, and the amazing things they did. The next one you see on the bottom there is our Bulldog Fun Fest. The second problem we presented them with was we have IRR students, intensive resource room students who are not on a diploma track in an elementary school, and we wanted to put a little fair on for them. So we had our students actually go to Hevel, learn all about disabilities of our students. We had nonprofits come in and work with our students to learn about every single disability that our students had. And our kids actually showed up there and had a blast working with our kids and doing that engagement with them. It's absolutely amazing when you allow students the ability to do something, how strong they can be and what they can produce. So extremely proud of what our students did and what they came from those things. All our kids or we'll be doing a pilot this year. So our eighth graders will have some kind of service project they're working on, not to this scale, but kind of think of presentation wise and kind of seeing where that goes. This is our first year running with them, but we really took the opportunity to empower our kids and to really make a difference and let them choose what they want to make a difference in. So extremely proud of what they have been able to put together and do so far this year.
Yeah,
Mr. March, you didn't like finish the loop on the Bulldog Fun Fest.
thank you.
So
What's May
Oh, I
28th?
apologize. Sorry. This is what happens when you try to do too many things at once. So
yeah.
what our kids are going to do is our Bulldog Fun Fest. They are going to make a carnival, and they are going to produce games for our students that are friendly for them, and to have a carnival here at the Romeo Middle School, to have those students come here and have that carnival experience happen for them. So they're designing all the games to be fit their disabilities and what they can and cannot do, and really kind of showcase that. So we talked about empathy in the very beginning. This is really showing empathy in a big way of having those students connect with them. Some of our kids on the way back asked if they could go back because they forgot their pencils or their cell phones because they wanted to go back and spend more time with their kids. So again, those heart-touching moments that Jen talked about earlier happen all the time, and it's amazing what these kids can do when they put their minds to it.
Yeah, and I think when you think about a long-term project, the theater production and the Bulldog Fun Fest, those were two different leadership classrooms. And again, we're just in year one. We didn't plan on doing eighth grade, but I said we need to do something. So these ideas, kind of generated from students. And so I can't wait to see May 28th when the elementary kids, grades 3 through 5, come up to the middle school, and it's all student led. Our eighth graders are leading it. They're creating a budget. They created some formulas in a Google spreadsheet. I was very impressed. So these are skills, right? That they are transferable skills and skills that they can use for their lifetime. But when we think about our profile of a middle school scholar, right? They've had to persevere in those projects as eighth graders because some of their initial thoughts, when they dove deeper into understanding the students or the seniors' needs, their first, inkling of ideas in the design thinking process didn't make the cut. They have to communicate effectively I have a young man that keeps asking me how much money do they have. I said, you've not reached your limit yet. But they have to be self-directed. The young man that led the theater production created an action plan and had a checklist and who was responsible for what. I mean, this is an eighth grader, 13, 14 years old, that led a project. Think about the skills that he has now, being able to lead something as an eighth grader and not waiting until I'm not sure what. But Jen, did you have anything to add about the profile?
Yes. So in all of our engagement opportunities, so from our sixth grade fair to the presentations to the seventh grade engagement outside in the community to our eighth grade service projects that we're doing and piloting with all eighth graders, it all comes down to this profile. And any of the follow-up assignments that they do, they are always looking at what skill did I need, or what skill would I need, or what skill is needed as I go through each of these things. And we're slowly building a resume. We started in sixth grade this year, where a resume, yes, we're going to put their experiences, but it is going to be a lot about this this profile where they're going to reflect on all the skills and what they've done to attain those skills. So that resume, we're just starting it this year in sixth grade, and it will follow them through the rest of their school. So there we are.
So I don't know if we're going to go in a breakout room. I'm assuming we will with the number of people, but I just wanted to revisit, hopefully, you learned a little bit about our journey as an academy at Romeo Middle School. And we're open to questions when we get into a breakout room, I guess.
So thank you, Romeo team. I want to thank both Akron and Romeo for presenting very different sides, but really presenting for all of you a really complete picture of a middle school academy, and we put that in quotes deliberately, experience, because as we know, you don't just take the high school model and replicate it at the middle school. And so hopefully they gave you all some ideas to think about as you think about potentially moving this work into your middle school. So of course, I'm sure you have lots of questions for both of them. And so what we're going to do is open up 2 breakout rooms, one with Romeo, one with Akron. You have the ability to self-select into whichever breakout room you would like. So if you're interested in hearing a little bit more about what Romeo just shared around their community experiences and that pilot work they're doing with those 2 leadership classes and how they're going to thinking about scaling that up for next year, choose that breakout room and talk with them. If you'd like to hear more about what Akron is doing about building the knowledge and skills of their portrait of a graduate in that middle school experience and their plans for their CTE related curriculum in the middle school, choose their breakout room. I know 10 minutes was not nearly enough for the conversation, so we also want to try and honor folks' time as well. Continue to put your questions in chat, and we will try and follow up. Well, we won't try, we will. We'll follow up with the Romeo and Akron teams to get some responses to your questions and send those out with the slides after the presentation. Just real quickly, a couple of highlights from the Romeo group is, there were questions about, do you really do these experiences across the 3 grades at each grade level, 400 students? And the answer is yes. I mean, not at 8th grade this year, because this was a pilot year, but they really do that, and they can do that because they utilize their advisory period, which is 30 minutes. That's protected time. That is always focused on either profile or these kinds of activities, the community building, the going out in the community. Obviously, a half an hour isn't going to get them there and back, but it helps. Also, because they have Jennifer Racevich's role, that academy coach role, she really spends a lot of time building relationships with those community organizations to really get their not only their buy-in, but their real ownership in that process. And then the third leg of that is really making sure the students are prepped and prepared and know what they're going to see and do when they get out to those places. And then also the district has fiscally planned for transportation for these experiences. And then the other big highlight again was the importance of what they call our time, but is advisory. It's not homework accomplishment time. It's not big announcements time. It really is protected time used for the middle school career academy type model work that they're doing. Those are some highlights from this group. Cheryl, you have a few highlights from the Akron group? Oh, you're on mute.
You would think I would know this by now. So what I thought was really interesting is that they've got some, I mean, they've really laid this out well so that it is very attached to the academics. And I'm probably not going to do this justice, you all in Akron, but they also have some non-negotiable classes that they believe are really important for all students to have. And it's Project Lead the Way, Innovation and Makers, I think it was called, and Design and Modeling. I was, as they were going through each of the grades, right, some of the things that they were really working on was, some really good projects around reclaiming space, for instance, in the area. What does it mean to take space back that's not being used well, and how can they reuse it? And so math was really well integrated into that. And then they also had a sixth grade, that was in seventh grade. They also had a sixth grade project. And it's really about leadership excellence. They really focus on leadership. And in eighth grade, it's kind of a culminating experience where they, I think it's called the Changemaker Challenge, as I recall. And they are looking at needs of the community, and they try to come up with ways in which they can solve a problem. And they actually are engaging with nonprofits to potentially get funded. And so the way they have laid this out, I think, has been incredibly thoughtful and deep. And I know you're going to get all these slides, so I think that's really important for you to see them, because I couldn't begin to tell you all of the things. I got pages of notes in just a couple of minutes. Back to you, Beth.
All right. Well, I think we're about to wrap it up. So I hope you found this opportunity to interact with both Akron and Romeo useful to your thinking as you're beginning to think about what might it look like to provide career exploration, portrait of the profile of the graduate or scholar development at the middle school level. How do you provide some of those real world experiences to your students while keeping it connected to that academic growth and knowledge as well? I think these are both communities that are doing those things well. So I hope, it's always easier to start from an idea than to start from nothing. And I hope you got that today. And I just want to thank both of these communities for joining us today. They worked with us behind the scenes to make sure there was a great presentation. And I know, Cheryl, you always like to close with some information about the Career Academy division, so I'll let you do that. And again, thank you for everybody being here today. And it was great to see some familiar faces and a lot of new faces.
And I think Jess is closing us out, so and giving us instructions.
Yeah. Just again, thanks everyone for joining, and we'll be sure to share some more information about both Ford NGL and the ACTE Career Academy section, which is hosted through the new and related services division, and that follow-up email, along with some responses to those additional questions that came in through the chat. And we'll stay on for just a few minutes or so. So if there are any extra questions you want to get noted or ask out loud or share in the chat, we'll get those on the record so that, again, we can make sure to follow up. But again, thanks to our presenters and for all of you for joining. Have a great one, everyone.